Hey, can you hear me all right? Oh, I didn't even realize all you guys were in here. How's everybody doing this morning? Hey, how are you guys doing? Oh, nice. Did you say it's 22 degrees? Oh, okay. Well, did you have a good day today? Yeah. Yeah, take your time, brother. Yeah, yeah, everybody's good. We're it's winter is here for us, so it's starting to get chilly and my kids are trying to camp and I'm like, guys, it's December. But yeah, everything's going great. So this trip actually got canceled because of the weather. It was rainy and snowy, and so they decided not to go. But yeah, I'm gonna try to turn up the volume. Ryan, can you hear me okay, brother? Hold on. Oh yeah, no problem. I'm waiting for Brent to come on so we can just hang out and chat this morning. Travis, what is your did I meet you on X, I guess, brother? Okay. Oh, okay. Cool, man. Hey, thanks for dropping in. You're welcome. This week is kind of like a little bit of a sanity check for me. You know, really just honestly trying to figure out if this is something that I want to try to do long term or if this is just, whether whether or not it's really meant to be. I'm sure you, yeah. It's one of those things, man. It's like life, right? We're just all trying to do our best and do right by our families. And on one hand, what's that? Yeah. I absolutely want to help people, but at the same time, I don't want to babysit them. I mean, I guess that's what it really what it really comes down to. So, I've been overwhelmed with questions and stuff on X, and I don't know. My wife was like, "Why are you even thinking about doing this?" But we'll see. We'll see where it goes from here. So I'm glad that you guys are here. Um, yeah, I'm waiting for Brent. Brent is kind of the guy that I really wanted to help out today. So I guess tell me a little bit about I've talked with so SC Trader is Chip and I spent last week with Chip. Chip really was very patient with me while I was trying to sort out some things on stream and stuff and um but tell me more I guess about you Travis and where you're at and what you're up to, how long you've been trading and all that. Well, whatever you want to share, brother. It's a open mic. Sure. Oh, okay. Nice. Right. Right. Hmm. Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Well, that's great, man. I mean, it's I've come full circle like as a trader. It's you start off and you're like, man, the worst thing you can do, right, is make a little bit of money right out of the gate, and then you're like, oh, I've got this, and you put more money into it, and um, it's definitely a journey, and everybody, what I show you guys today may or may not really resonate with you, and if it doesn't, like, that's totally fine. I have zero expectations on my end. Um, and if I can help a few people maybe understand the market a little better, or at least give them some, a different angle on it, because everybody learns differently. Everybody has different commitment levels because of life. Everybody has different, um, backgrounds and strengths and weaknesses. And I mean, trading is one of those things where it brings everybody together, and there's a lot of different ways, right, to make money in the market. And so you just have to find what works for you, and then, like you said, have some confidence in it. I still make mistakes every single day. I oversize, I overtrade. I mean, I do all those things. Um, and we're all just learning and growing, right? So, uh, yeah, I'm recording it, and I'll post it to YouTube. So let me make sure that it looks like it's recording. So, I know you guys are seeing my full screen and stuff. It's kind of a hassle between streaming on Discord and also trying to record it with OBS. So um, this may or may not be the format that I use, but yeah. So I'm recording it for those of you guys that can't be here this morning. And what did you do before, Travis? I guess what was your background? Oh, yeah, okay. Nice. You and Chip are gonna get along great. I think that he's a yeah, I think he's got a mortgage business as well. So yeah, yeah. I know. I mean, I think at some point we'll get back there, but it's gonna take like a big correction. It's so interesting to me to and I don't want to go down this rabbit hole too far, but to see like the global markets really at all-time highs, and yet we have super high rates. Usually you'd think that the rates would be high, and then the global markets would be suppressed, and the housing market would be suppressed, and it's like, when things are not looking good, then they would lower the rates, right? Like they did in 2009, 2010. I remember like the house that we are in now, I think we locked it in at like 2.85%. And, it's, I don't know. I don't know if we'll see those rates again in my lifetime. I'm sure that we will at some point, but it's just interesting to me to see everything's so high, right? Inflation's so high, rates are so high. So, yeah. I worked as a real estate agent for a couple years after I got out of the army too, so I know done a few mortgages, but I think it's a great industry. I mean, real estate. So my passion was really real estate investing, and I was looking at learning about how to do flips and how to do rentals. This was like 2013, 14, 15, just before I got out. And then we moved to Washington State, and I bought a duplex up there and remodeled it myself. And then I didn't have my agent's license then, but I had all this like investing knowledge, and how to analyze the properties and figure out cap rates and all that stuff. Um, and then I was like, hey, I need to figure out the retail side as well, right? And so I went ahead and got my license and worked with Keller Williams for 2 years, and started to build like a house flipping slash, kind of all in one real estate service company. I had four Army vets that worked with me, and they were like, trades guys, but they didn't really want to do any of the higher level stuff. They just wanted to work for an hourly wage. Good guys, and we did a bunch of painting and siding and flooring and remodeling, kind of. They worked on my properties, and they worked on other people's properties, and things were going great until like 2018, which was when my father got sick. And then that's when we had to transition from all of that. We sold all of that, sold like all the contracting equipment, trailers, dump trailer, and the truck, and all of that, and moved back out here to North Carolina to take care of him full time. So, um, and that's why I transitioned to, like working from home. Was I needed something else to do, that I could take care of him, and be there for him, and also still try to provide. But trading, I didn't go right to trading. I went to like digital marketing and affiliate marketing, kind of all that stuff initially, and then finally discovered trading. And trading is like the worst thing that you can get into if you need money. It is like the worst thing that you can do. So right, right, yeah, exactly. And that even if you are like still just trying to figure out, like you said, a strategy that works, man, like all the auction market theory stuff and the order flow stuff, it's so deep. Like price action is like one massive rabbit hole, and then the order flow stuff is almost almost just deeper. You can get as complex as you want with it. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'll I'll give Brent a few more minutes here. He did say that he was going to be on, but I want to kind of get started just in an overview of how I'm looking at the markets. And I don't know, like I said, if you guys have any questions, this is just a chat amongst friends. That's kind of how I look at this. And Like I was telling Chip and just Travis that this week is just going to be kind of a testing ground for me, trying to decide whether or not I really want to kind of continue this. So I'm happy to share what I've got, and maybe it'll supplement what you guys are already doing, or just give you guys, because there's some folks here that have like no system whatsoever, and so I'm kind of just do broad brush strokes, and then we'll get into some specific stuff once the market opens up. And yeah, let me know. Can everybody see the stream all right? I guess just it's just I call this like my execution chart or tactical chart. All right. Okay. Cool. Let me message Brent and see if he's coming. Let's see. Where's he at here? It's funny too because like you kind of wrap your head around trading and then you're like, "Oh, maybe I want to start doing this with other people." So then you got to learn how to manage a Discord server and you got to learn how to stream and how to create videos and yes, right, for sure. Yeah, I think, with this kind of stuff, it's always like the initial setup that's such a hassle. Once you kind of take the time to learn OBS and Discord and trying to get the tech to play nice with each other so that way all of the things are working seamlessly. It's not so bad. It's just kind of the initial setup because it all takes time. That's ultimately it. Like I'm realizing that I went for a long walk this morning and I was thinking to myself, I was walking by again, this is like 5:30 in the morning, and I was walking by a house and it had like a company's little yard sign. They do like remodeling, and it was like roofing, siding, remodeling, and goes back to what Travis and I were just talking about. I was thinking about when I had my real estate business, and I was like, man, I was trading my time then, right, for money. You're using your time to generate value for people by remodeling their home, or you're taking a house that's distressed, that's no been neglected, and for whatever reason, you know taxes, divorce, whatever, death in family, people have neglected a property, and you've got to take your time, right, take your time and you exchange that and you create value there, and then you sell it and you make money. And I was thinking to myself, I was like, I've been thinking about this whole thing with streaming and creating a course and all of it, and I'm like, man, it's the same thing, right? Like there's still a time exchange that has to happen. And I think previously I was just like, maybe it's because I've been trading now for the last really 6 years, last four really taking it really seriously, that I just kind of took for granted how much it's taken me to learn trading, because having to learn, tools like Discord and OBS and how to stream and all that over the last 2 weeks, um, I'm like, man, there's definitely, like, again, there's a major time commitment to all of this stuff. So whether you're remodeling a house or, working a job or streaming or whatever, like it's all time. You've got to exchange your time somehow, one way or the other. Right. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. For sure. All right, well, Brent's not replying, so I'm going to change the screens here and just start talking about so this chart book that I gave you guys, and again, I'm not sure who's using Sierra Chart, who's not using Sierra Chart. I tried to make this, so last week when I was with Chip, I used a light colored screen, and it was I think it worked fine, but it's not this kind of color scheme that I normally use, and so this one is much closer to my actual chart book. There's two things that I've left off this chart book, and it's the New York Stock Exchange tick and the Nasdaq tick, and I left that off because one, I'm limited on space, but more importantly, I don't want to overwhelm people. I really want to focus on how I trade the cumulative volume delta, because that really, to me, is kind of the crux of my trading system. And um, so I try to keep things as simple as possible, right? So we kind of have this, what I call a strategic chart. And this chart book here, or this chart loads an entire year's worth of data. And the reason for that is because we're looking at the last quarter. The last quarter, and if you only have 90 days of chart data loaded up, then what happens is that your quarters aren't lined up and your months aren't lined up, things like that. So I load up a full year on this particular chart, and then this chart, normally I will kind of look at things, in a higher time frame perspective, using either like a 4 hour or a 60 minute. And then during the day, sometimes I will take this thing down to like a 15-minute chart. And primarily, trading really comes down to, are you buying low and selling high? I mean, that's really the nuts and bolts of it. When we look at a time chart, we can get ourselves kind of wrapped around time, and really time to me, again, this is all just Carrie's take on everything, but time to me is really irrelevant other than the timing of um, news catalysts, right? You obviously, if FOMC is at 2 o'clock, in the afternoon, you need to be aware of that. If unemployment announcements at 8:30 in the morning, and you're trying to get into a trade at 8:20, and you don't know that unemployment's about to come out, there's potential there for you to get run over. So when I think about the chart itself, I think about price vertically, because it can only go up or down. Like that's it. The it can either make a new high, or it can make a new low, or it can retest a prior level. So when we start to look at these time charts, right, then again, I think people put way too much emphasis on the candlesticks and on the time of it, and I don't really do that. For the most part, I'm really looking to see, first, are we trading above the previous day's VWAP? That to me is um, probably the most important level, I guess. And there's been a few guys that, well, actually, there's been several people that have asked me, hey, I bought the previous day's VWAP, which is the purple line here, and I'll go to the other chart. They'll say, well, I bought the previous day's VWAP and price fell through it, which is basically this line right here. I don't I don't enter and exit trades just based on their proximity to VWAP. I used to, um, but now I really try to base everything off of the order flow, and we'll get more into the order flow piece, but I want to talk about the VWAPs because I'm really just looking at them as kind of a ladder. You know, again, thinking about price vertically, is it climbing the ladder, or is it falling through the rungs of the ladder? And so the VWAPs to me are really just, they're just that. They're just rungs in the ladder. So I also try not to have any daily bias. Again, I used to really try to figure out, what is the market doing? Where is this thing going? And it would be so frustrating because um, you just I feel like you can't really predict it accurately, right? And so I've tried to get out of the prediction game, at least on kind of the higher time frame. We don't know. I mean, like it literally could drop from where it's at right now and fall for the next 24 hours. We have no idea what it's going to do next. Again, you can speculate. You can say, well, we swept this high from 3 weeks ago, or we swept this high from an hour ago. And so now we're going to go mitigate internal range liquidity or whatever. But again, it all just comes down to buying low and selling high. So when I look at today, right, we're trading above yesterday's VWAP. Um, so I've got two VWAPs on here, which are basically, again, because people have asked about it, basically the session VWAP is the yellow, and then the purple line is the RTH VWAP, and it's extended forward right now from yesterday. So, in a nutshell, if we're trading above yesterday's VWAP and our cumulative volume delta is positive, I probably need to be looking for long trades, right? And I would be looking for pullbacks back to the CVD levels. Um, Before I go much further into kind of you know, the how to do it, I do want to address these a little bit more. So the VWAPs themselves, you can see that, and I might need to go down to a lower time frame here. You can see it's been in an uptrend, right? We have not lost really. It hasn't really closed below a previous day's VWAP in the last basically week. It's been going up and up and up. So again, thinking about the previous day's VWAP as a stepping stone, it's really been using it, right, as a stepping stone. Let me turn off these swings. Sometimes the swings can get um, a little busy on here. So it's basically been holding the previous day's VWAP. We've had some good pushes down to it, and it's kind of hit this rolling weekly VWAP, which is what the yellow line is. Um, but it's been holding it. So, you can kind of get yourself stuck in the thought of, well, it's way up here. I should be looking for a short because price is extended. But I don't think about it like that. We want to try to kind of go with the momentum of the market. And until it breaks, until it breaks below um, this previous day's VWAP here, you don't really have any reason to be looking for shorts. Um, right? If we're trading above this yellow line and the delta's positive and everything's looking positive, you should be trying to catch longs because the trend is going up. Now, if price does something where, it falls below that and retest it from below, then you could say, okay, hey, there might actually be a trend change going on here. Some people use volume profile. I like the VWAPs because if I think about, an institutional algorithm and where are they actually buying and selling at, they're doing the same things that we are. They're just trying to buy low and they're trying to sell high. So, their algorithms are constantly looking at what is the current day's VWAP? What is the weekly VWAP? What is the monthly VWAP? And they're constantly measuring, themselves against this. They want to buy below these VWAPs and they want to sell above them. It's very simple. They're not looking at fair value gaps. They're not looking at POCs on a TPO chart. There may be some older algorithms I think that are doing that stuff, but for me, I'm thinking that they're using longer term VWAPs and using the order flow, right? Um, and that's just based on my experience looking at the markets and then also, listening to guys like Merritt Black, listening to guys like Lance Brightstein and watching like SMB Capital has some great training videos if you guys haven't seen this stuff. Also, Axia Futures has some good stuff, and they talk about, what are the levels that the institutional players are actually looking at. And again, it's not going to be anything that you draw on your chart, right? And I think that for me is why I've really tried to get away from hand drawn levels, because the arbitrary levels that we put in our charts, they're not looking at it, right? They're looking at the overall market. They're looking at major news catalysts, and they're looking at, hey, if we, you know, if we accumulated a position down here, you know, close to where last quarter's, average price was at, hey, it might be a good time for us to start selling it, right? There's probably some profit taking going on. But if it starts pulling back down into these other levels, the quarterly, the monthly VWAP, the weekly VWAP, um, then they're much more likely to engage in buying. And the nice thing too, like I don't have a personal problem with ICT or ICT traders, but I think that, having the higher time frame VWAPs in your charts gives you, I think, more conviction. At least it does for me, more conviction when you're looking at kind of more traditional, support resistance, supply and demand levels, or, if you're using a volume profile or something like that. And again, you can be profitable with all of that stuff, right? If we draw a volume profile, it's going to display it on that side. There's all kinds of low volume nodes and high volume nodes. There's all kinds of things that you can lean on, right, in your trading. So again, this to me, I'm not using it to predict anything. I'm just using it to kind of get an idea of, hey, where are we at in outer space? When I see us this far up, yeah, there's a part of me that's like, ooh, it's, probably gonna fall from here. But I try not to, again, get really fixated on anything other than, hey, we're climbing the steps of the ladder up. And until it proves to me that it wants to do something different, I might as well go ahead and try to go with the trend. Um, Let me erase these. And you can, absolutely plot, these levels forward. And so I will, like this is a weekly here, and this should show up on my other chart. I'll mark these out. But again, I'm not, if price gets back up to this, I'm not just going to limit order into a short, right? I'm not going to do that. Um, and then we can mark swing highs. This stuff I think that one doesn't. This stuff is important to do as well, just to give yourself, an idea. But again, I'm not going to just initiate a trade based on what I'm seeing here from these, again, horizontal levels. So I think that's the all-time high. Again, it's really more just kind of a ballpark. And then the ones that are here, we can plot those as well. I know that we've got this monthly just started, so it does not carry much weight at all, or weekly rather. global market. All right. Anybody have any questions about the VWAPs before I transition over to the volume delta? Okay. I guess I can just use this one. I would be very surprised if we get this far down here today. All right. So let's take a look at what we're seeing here on the tactical chart. So the way that I look at this is, again, we're trading above the previous day's VWAP and our delta is positive. There's two types of, uh, there's the session delta, right? And then there's the RTH delta. And does everybody understand? I guess I probably should ask this. Does everybody understand what order flow is and the difference between, order flow, what order flow is and what price is? I know ICT likes to say institutional order flow, but it's price action. So the volume delta is showing us when orders are crossing the bid and ask spread. So it basically shows us aggression. All right. And there's a lot of misnomers out there about whether or not institutions use market orders or whether they use limit orders, and they use both. And they absolutely will use market orders if they feel that it is time to quickly, because they're using the NQ and they're using the ES to hedge their positions, right? Like their primary positions are in options, in SPY options and SPX options because they have so much leverage. And the futures market is really just for hedging. I mean, that's what the futures market was designed for, was for producers, right, of commodities to hedge their positions. And so all that we're trying to do is just get in alignment with their hedging operations. And so the volume delta just shows us aggression. All right. And that's how I look at it. And there's times that we have absorption, which is when price is, higher or lower than the volume delta. I used to spend a lot of time um, on divergences, and divergences can be powerful, but at the same time, uh, you can also get run over if you absolutely put all your eggs in one basket and say this divergence is going to hold today. Because again, we don't know um, what the market is going to do moment to moment, especially when there's news events. So primarily, what I look to do each day is again just get in alignment with this aggression. I'm not concerned so much about what is going on the price chart. All right. I'm not, I've had some, I've made some posts on X where, again, just trying to give people some snapshots of different ways to trade. But, what I'm not doing is I'm not really drawing volume profiles like this. And again, looking for areas, low volume nodes and things like that. You can do that for sure. And yes, it does work, but I'm looking at the CBD. I want to see that, hey, at this 1K level, every time the volume delta came back down to it, we've had a bounce, right? And so these I don't know, large round numbers, 1K levels, 2K levels, 5K levels are the levels that I'm looking at. I don't really care what price is doing. All I'm trying to do is get into a position and or build a position, right? Build a position that I can hold as long as I can. That might be 5 minutes. It might be 2 or 3 hours. It just depends on my day. It depends on what I have going on with my kids. Um, and so I'm very flexible in my trading. I guess I'm very agile, right? I'm in and out of trades. Um, and I don't really use hard stops. I will DCA into positions sometimes. Again, it just all depends. But I'm trading micros, like Travis was saying. I think if you're trading a prop firm account, you absolutely should be using micros. Um, but I will set a hard stop. Like if I have to get up and leave my computer or do something with my kids, I'll put a hard stop in. But generally, I'm managing my trades, right? On a day like today, where we are up above the previous day's VWAP, and we are above um, this kind of what I call delta neutral, or sometimes I'll refer to it as the water line. We're up above this, right? That tells me that again, I probably need to be looking for longs. Once the session opens up, this will reset. All right, and once it resets, okay, at that point, the most important level for me the rest of the day is going to be that RTH delta neutral level. All right. That is kind of the bread and butter. And the reason for that is that the algorithms recalibrate everything at the open, right? So their VWAP gets recalibrated, their delta calculations get recalibrated, and because there's just way more volume, right? And so if we're here in the overnight session, like we're still, I guess, pre-market overnight, then yeah, you want to use this session VWAP and the session delta. But as soon as things, once the cast session goes live, then we need to transition again, try to get in alignment with those algorithms. Because what can happen is like right now, let's say that the market opened right now, and we're thinking, hey, things are positive, we're above our previous day's VWAP, and our session delta is positive. Well, if it opens up right here, and then this is our RTH delta level, and then all that it does is dump from here, then we're thinking, oh, we need to be getting long, right? But this session delta neutral is no longer, it's delta neutral on the day, but all of the momentum out of the open is going short. So in that case, why would I want to try to get long down here on my when my delta gets back down to session zero when everything out of the gate has been negative, right? So once the session starts, once we go live in cash, then I will, like I said, this delta resets, and then I start from there. Right now, I have this set to a 30-second chart. Um, I like to use a 5 second, and I'll probably drop down to that to maybe try to show you guys some other divergences. But in a nutshell, when it comes down to my trading, I'm literally just playing ping pong between these levels and the delta. Again, I'm not worried about what price is doing. Obviously, if it's sweeping this high right here, right, which is what this pink line is, or it's sweeping this high in the blue, or let's see, we've got like if it's up here against this, weekly um, previous VWAP close, I'm not going to try to get long, right? I mean, again, it all comes down to your ability to see, are we super extended, or are we, we want to be buying low, right, and selling high. So we want to be buying down in the deep water where the whales are at, or we want to be selling when there's blood in the water up in the shallows where the sharks are at. That's kind of how I think about it. So right now we're kind of in that middle ground, right? Um, we have to we have to wait and see what happens at the cash open and decide whether or not we want to get long or whether or not we want to get short. So I'm just going to be trading micros. Again, I'm trading a combination of Apex accounts and a personal account. And yeah, we'll just kind of see how we do. Um, I need to use the restroom. You guys think if you have any questions before the open, and I will be right back. All right. Back. Um, of course. Yeah. Um, that's a great question. I don't feel like I get a lot of false signals because usually there is, so I'm switching now to the RTH session chart because it looks like there's a little bit of a gap this morning. But no, I don't feel like I get a lot of false signals on it because I'm not looking at it from a time standpoint. I'm looking at it from, okay, what I'm trying to observe is the phenomenon that occurs in the relationship between price and the delta. I'm trying to see the aggressive buying and the aggressive selling take over. Um, and so for me, the best way to do that is to use a lower time frame chart. And I think once you see it a few times, you'll be like, oh, okay, now I see why why he's looking at that. Um, Now, if you're looking at it, for a 1 minute or a 5 minute, there's there's divergences in the delta as well. They're just going to be, higher time frame, larger divergences. Uh, but I no, I mean I don't. I feel like again I'm in and out of the trades pretty quick, so I'm not getting whipsawed around or anything like that. Usually. hmm So yeah, there's pretty big gap between where we closed on Friday and where we are at right now. So let's see what happens here at the open. So I want to watch this delta print right here. Let me go back to the other chart so you guys can see that. Oops, it's the strategic. Here's the session. So we're hitting that session VWAP. Again, I'm not putting any emphasis on that other than, and I want to go down to 5 second chart here. Whoops. This is going to recalculate. Sorry, guys. I thought that one was set on 5 seconds. Come on. All right. So the CBD is reset, and that's what I'm looking at. I'm not worried about what price is doing just yet, right? So what I'm looking at is this line right here is the most important line on my chart. Again, it's this delta neutral from the session. All right. So we can see, can you guys, I'm trying to zoom in a little bit so you guys can see it some more. But you can see how all of the momentum right now is going up. All right. So when I'm talking to you guys about going with that momentum, that's what you want to do, right? This kind of initial push, I would be getting long. All right. And, I can put on a micro right now. When we start to see a little pullback in price, right, we can put a micro on. Oop, that's not a micro. This one's not set. Hold on. Usually what I do in Delta or in Sierra chart is that I will what's neat about Sierra chart is that the um, you can watch the NQ chart but trade MNQs. So that's what we've got here, right? So did it reload all the way? Just a second, guys. All right. So I'm gonna just do one micro right there. And again, that's just because we're we're positive, right? The momentum is going up at this point. We want to see this level break right here on the delta chart. So that confirms, right, that there's aggressive buying continuing to go up. Right now we have alignment between price, right, and delta. Irregardless of whatever levels are on your chart, right? Whatever VWAP is at, none of that stuff matters. The only thing that matters is the relationship between price and delta right now. So we want to follow this, right? We're just trying to get in alignment with the aggressive buying out of the open. Again, you don't need an opening, you don't need a 30-second opening range breakout. You don't need a 15-minute orb. You don't need an hourly, whatever. Like all you need to do is put yourself in alignment with the aggression. And so we want to watch and see what happens here at this 1K level. Does the delta continue to push higher through this level? This is kind of a critical moment because while the 1K level itself is not necessarily inherently a strong level, we want to see what happens here. Um, Again, it's one micro, taking a little bit of heat, but again, I look at this as a retest of this kind of swing level here on my CBD chart. So I'm holding it, right? There's not really there's a slight divergence in that price is slightly lower than what the delta is, but it's not so much that I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to get out of this trade. If you were in a full size contract, right, then yeah, you probably are like, wow, I need to get out of this, right? Um, so that's why I want you guys to use micros while you're learning this because that's what I use. The micros allow me to sit here and say, okay, hey, I had this initial push in delta that's positive, right? Price is in alignment with it. And I can sit here with one micro and let this thing play out, right? But if I'm in one full size contract right now and I'm watching $450 in heat come my way, that's gonna really suck, right? And so please just use micros while you're kind of learning, right? So we're retesting this kind of level here. We got a rejection off of the 1K. That's normal, right? Probably more than what we would like to see. We kind of wanted to see it push through that. But let's just watch and see what happens. Now, if price comes back down or I'm sorry, not price, if delta comes back down and kind of retests this delta neutral level, all right, you can maybe DCA right there. But if it breaks this neutral level, right, then that means that we're probably on the wrong side of the aggression and we need to just get out completely. But right now, again, um, things are still looking bullish to me. So I can sit through this little bit of heat. I'm not getting crazy on my size or anything. I want to let I want to let them prove to me that they want to continue to go higher. And so what we want to see is we want to see it push through this 1K level. And that's all I'm looking for right now. It's not the best entry. That's okay. Again, it's just one micro. We're not getting crazy with it. you guys will see me mark out these swing highs and swing lows quite a bit because again, I'm always kind of gauging prices relationship to them, right? If the delta breaks this line right here, then it's probably going to come back down to delta neutral. If it pops up through this one, then I might add into that. We'll see what happens here. Again, let me know if you guys have any questions. Again, I'm just trying to show you how carry trades. But I'm not, you notice, again, I haven't exited this trade because I don't really have any reason to yet, other than prices drifting down a little bit. But I'm also not getting super married to a position. I can take a little bit of drawdown on it. It's all right. So yeah, and for me, it's really about again, getting in alignment, right, with it. We saw aggressive buying out of the gate. Okay, so we want to go with that. I didn't go with that initially because I was messing around with the chart, but we want to go with that initial push, right? Whatever direction it's going to go in. And then we're just watching the relationship between price and the delta. Right now, the delta is still positive. Um, we're still positive. We're still above the previous day's VWAP. So it's just a matter of again letting it play out kind of in real time without getting stressed out about it. Again, if I had a full size contract on, then yeah, I'd probably be sweating bullets right now because you'd be down, five, $600. But when you have a micro, then you're like, oh, okay, like I can let this kind of go, right? So if if we start breaking new highs in the delta, then we'll maybe buy another micro. Um, but again, I'm not stressing about it. We're not seeing a lot of aggressive selling come in yet. Can you guys see my cursor all right? Okay, so we're not seeing a lot of aggressive selling coming in yet. So there's no reason for us to exit. I knew as soon as it hit that 1K level, I was like, generally speaking, you guys do not want to be buying when, hold on, let me use my rectangle tool, Alt 3. You guys do not want to be buying when it's tapping into these major delta levels. Again, think about the algorithms, think about them, being recalibrated off of the open, right? They're recalibrating off of the open, and you know, when the delta gets to 1K, 2K, 3K, 5K, you're going to see pushes like this, right? So let's see what happens here. Are we going to get a pullback all the way back down to RTH neutral? Might. So I'm watching to see, is price kind of lifting while this delta is going down? I don't think there would be anything wrong with, again, maybe buying another contract here, but I want to wait and see. A lot of times you'll get a retest kind of this, waterline, delta neutral level, RTH neutral level, and it'll retest, and we just kind of want to watch, price get back in alignment with the delta they're still in alignment, but we want to see a push down and then price rally up out of that. So let's just kind of watch it here and see what it does. But again, I'm not panicking. It's $100 at this point. All right, so this is gonna be a big moment. Let's see what it does. This is the low. Hold on, I'm gonna show you guys this. This is the low right here. All right. So I'm going to buy 2 micros, and if it this is the RTH delta low right here. So this is kind of a critical point, right? Where if the longs are going to actually take it higher, then it should hold. Um, if they're not, then this will break, and we'll probably have to get out of our trade and start looking for a short. I just remembered that there is a gap below us. I'm not looking at that chart right now, so it might drop down and try to fill that gap. Again, I just bought 2 there, but I did not get really sized up and super heavy on it. If it starts breaking below this, um, if it starts breaking below this delta level here, the low or RTH low, which is, again, I'm trying to make this as clear as possible for you guys. If it starts breaking below this green box, then we should be really concerned, because it's probably going to shift. So there's a big pop and aggression there. Let's see if it will break through the 1K. If it breaks through the 1K, then I'll probably add again. Again, I really have no idea what it's going to do, so it's just a matter of trying to get yourself in alignment. What I would like to see happen is for it to break this 1K and then, pull back to the 1K, then I can start getting long again, right? Maybe with more size. Just going to erase this one for now. Okay, so price, even though our delta is going down, price is lifting. So that means that there's some absorption. There's some limit order absorption that's going on there. And I want to see price kind of break this high. I'm always looking to see, is price breaking this high first? If price is breaking this high first, then that tells me that there's some icebergs or limit order absorption that's taking place. And then we want to see delta follow right behind that, right? That's new initiative buying, I guess you can call it. So there's some selling, not crazy aggressive, but this is kind of our line in the sand down here, this delta low. Again, I'm not worried about, I see that VWAP's there. I'm not worrying about it. I'm not stressing about it. It's really irrelevant because this to me is all that matters. Who's being aggressive? And right now, the buyers are being more aggressive than the sellers are. I feel like I should have some background music. If price starts getting back up to this high, right, that's a good thing. So what happens is that when there's aggression, one direction or the other, there's kind of initial aggression, and then there's limit orders that come in behind them, right? And then they kind of, they're adding to their positions, right? They're happy to add using those limit orders. So they use those markets to kind of push it one direction or the other, get other people to buy along with them, and then they'll use limit orders to really accumulate. If we end up breaking below this, then I'll get out. Not, like I said, I'm not stressed out about it. Okay, so let's see what happens right here. This is kind of a key point. All right, so we're going to exit that. We took a loss. Now that we're seeing this aggression come in on the sell side, all right, we want to watch the reaction to this area right here. So it's broken through. Now we're coming back down to the previous day's VWAP. So, but again, I'm not going to start entering positions or anything like that based on this. I'm just watching the delta. Um, if we come back down and we hit this 1K, right? If we hit this 1K level, then I'll watch price. Again, I might put on a micro right here. It's a little concerning that we are now negative on the day, but it's okay delta wise. So just trying to watch price and delta here, see what they do. So it's hitting the previous day's VWAP. Could absolutely reinitiate a short, but I'm going to wait and see what it does here. Sometimes you'll get kind of this initial push in aggression, buying aggression, and then it'll sell off a little bit and then it picks back up. So just give it a little bit of time. I'm going to erase this now, but you guys, there we go. I don't think there would be anything wrong with starting a short here. My only concern is again, the previous day's VWAP is here. I don't really like shorting into that, but I don't think that they're just going to let this kind of spike down stand. I think it'll probably get swept again. So let's see what it does. I'm going to put on one micro short here. See if we can catch another push back down into this. Again, I'm not getting heavy or anything like that. I've got delta neutral right here, RTH kind of backing me up, right? If it starts breaking back up again through this, then I know that I probably need to start that this is going to be the low, and then I need to probably start looking for longs. But let's see what happens. Again, this is where the thing is that you can really let these kind of horizontal levels on your chart start to mess with your mind, and I really just want to focus on the order flow piece of it. So we were positive, right? It was going up, but then it broke lower, and now it's looking kind of bearish. So I want to see if this holds right here. There is a divergence between price. Price is angling down, even though our delta is angling up. So what that means is that there's limit order absorption on this side of the thing. So if price is lower than delta, and that tells us that the sellers are starting to lean on the order book with those limit orders, that the iceberg orders, are coming in and they're starting to lean on the sell side of the book. So if this starts breaking lower, right, breaking out of here, and starts making new lows on the delta chart, then that just kind of confirms that the sellers are now kind of in control of things. So let's see how this divergence kind of resolves itself here. So this is absorption that's happening literally right before your eyes. So I'm looking to see if it continues and price breaks this little swing right here before delta breaks its matching swing. And if price will drop below, then I'll probably add into this a little bit. They're going to make me look like a goofball this morning. But again, be patient. Just because it's popping above it a little bit doesn't mean that the sellers are completely stepping out. So there's still a divergence between price and delta. All right, so yeah, broke below it and now it's really kind of retesting it. If I want to see price, I really want to see price break this line before the delta breaks this line. Then that really kind of confirms the divergence for me, and then it shows me that the sellers are absolutely, not only are they, they're being more aggressive now, but they're also kind of backing it up with those limit orders. So so this level now is also important in that it's the RTH low. Okay, let's see what it does here. Yeah, I'm hoping that it's not a news day, so it's always interesting because sometimes, again, you're like trying to read the tea leaves here about what's going on, and um, it's like, all right, if you'd have just bought the previous day's VWAP, but I don't want to tell you guys to do that. I want you guys to I I want teach you how to read the order flow in a way that makes sense. Okay, I'll just hold this for now. We'll see if we actually get a break lower out of this here. The thing is too is like you know, you don't know. It's just a matter of trying to put yourself on the right side of things, and all we can do is give it, do the best that we can with the information that we're given. I think that we're given an accurate representation of order flow, and I know that there's a lot of people that say, well, we're not getting all the volume, and I think that's true to some degree, but I think that we're getting probably 95% accurate volume reported to our software, and that, like that's all that we can do, right? I've gotten into arguments with people being like, oh, you can't trust order flow because there's not that much, volume that's interpreted or it's not being reported correctly. And I don't know, man. Like, again, I can't debate that. All I can do is just go with what I know and my experience and the information that I'm given. If the CME is not giving me the full picture, then I mean, if they're intentionally withholding information or lying to us or whatever about orders, then it's like, why are we even trying this then, So let's see. So we got a little push down here. Let me see where that gap is at. So we filled it. They did fill it. And this is usually why I guess I can switch over to this. Just a second, let me go back to that. And so we want to see the delta continue to make new lows here and alignment with price. Price is getting a little jumpy on the high side here. So now we've got another little divergence, right? Let's see what it does. The previous days we may actually hold and we'll go back up. But the order flow is still bearish, right? Like once we drop below that delta neutral zone, and it did it pretty aggressively and it retested it. So we're starting to get some aggression here on the buy side. When the delta, when there's a divergence and the delta starts to kind of make new highs, then I'm like, oh, okay. Buyers are coming back in. We may have to exit this. It's the thing with the NQ is that it's so like this, like you can't predict that big drop down like that. It just, it's going to do what it wants to do. All right, so now let's see if it pops through this level. If it pops through, then we'll reset here and try to pick up a long. The only thing that had me looking to probably exit was again this divergence formed here with price and delta. Our delta made kind of two equal lows here, but price was rising, and so that indicates that there's absorption here. And I kind of figured that there would be if we fill that gap. So the gap's been filled. You know, this could be accumulation, absorption, if you will. So I want to see if price makes a new high right here, then we definitely need to switch sides again, right? So if price breaks this high right here before, whoops, trying to copy this line, it's not working. Before delta breaks that high, let's see what happens. So it's kind of retesting that neutral level again. When this delta is climbing like this, it's kind of making higher lows, right? Again, that's telling me that it's probably going to pop through this level here. And if it does, then I'll exit. We'll flip back long and we'll try to, okay, so let's see what happens. Yeah, the neutral line to me is not an absolute. It's really kind of it's not as, but it's also not like, I'm not looking at it as like a zone either, but I want to just give it an appropriate level of time and space, right? And let it kind of do its thing. We were bullish on the day because of this initial push. Then it flipped bearish. So now we're waiting to see, right? It's retesting it. We're waiting to see whether or not we need to be flipping long here. Again, I'm not really watching. I'm watching the relationship between price and delta, but primarily my focus is right here. I want to see what's going to happen. Are the buyers actually going to kick in? Are they going to start really buying it up above this level, or are the sellers going to kick in? All right, so I'm going to exit that and I'm going to do a micro long here just because it's really looking like they're wanting to wanting to push this thing back up because we want to be going with this momentum, right? So as it's starting to climb, it's starting to kind of gain traction and footing here at this delta neutral level. We want to respect that and go with that momentum up out of here. Now, an important level is going to be this kind of this RTH high right here, right? So we want to mark that and pay attention to when we're getting back up to that on the delta chart. Okay, so more aggressive delta. Let's see if they can actually lift it here. Love to see it if it's gonna continue higher, right? We want to see it pop through these two levels right here. This is a kind of critical inflection point. We want to see it pop through these two levels. And then we want to add into, again, a kind of a pullback, right? So if it extends up past the 1K, we can kind of get a pullback to it and then go higher. That's what we want to do. Yeah, I'm not worried so much about what price is doing. I'm just watching the delta chart. Okay. I think I might buy two more right there. Again, just kind of on this little retest right here. And again, we've got, again, we can only assume that the buyers that actually bought are going to defend. And so they should be holding this level, they should be holding this delta neutral. And if they're not, then again, it just it confirms that you probably need to get out of your trade. Um, all we can do is try to get in alignment with these guys. So right now, the buyers are kind of regained control on the session. The question is whether or not they will maintain control of that, right? They may or may not. It's almost like the days that are like very directional are easier to trade than these kind of no news days. Might buy two more here. Not getting super heavy, right? If it starts breaking back down, then we'll just have to get out. And I like it that we're up against the previous day's VWAP. I like it that the delta's slipping back positive. Um, Again, all I can do is assume the information that I'm given, which is that right now the buyers are being more aggressive than the sellers are. Yeah, for sure. I agree. And we wait. Buy a couple more. Again, I'm not getting crazy with the size. Again, that's just based on us tapping back into this zone here. It starts breaking through it, then I'll have to get out. Again, I'm thinking of, remember, we're trying to look at this like vertically as well, right? Because if you start looking left and you start seeing lows and things like that, you can get really wrapped around the axle of, well, it's going to do this or it's going to do that. I don't do that. All that I do is I look at my order flow. That's it, right? That's all that I'm looking at is whether or not there's more aggressive buying or more aggressive selling. And that's what I base the trades on. Try to keep it very simple. But you don't know at any moment what could happen, right? Like we see a swing low here, it could sweep it, and that's fine. I'm looking at the delta. So I don't want to see my delta start breaking below that like that. Okay, but it's okay. As long as it doesn't start selling off crazy hard on the delta side, then we're all right. Buy two more. Okay, so we're in one contract. Now, if it breaks below this, right, then yeah, right. I don't want to take too much heat on it. So that's kind of like, I guess if you would, my stop loss. But look at the aggressive buying that's coming in, right? Now that we've kind of swept that low, uh, all we can do is, again, just try to put ourselves in alignment with the buyers and the sellers. I'm not worried about price and what price is doing so much as what are these guys doing? What are the aggressive buyers and sellers doing? And how do I put myself in alignment with them? It's not about it's not about a pattern. It's not about a fair value gap. It's not about a market structure shift. It's not about any of that for me. It's just about how do I get in alignment with who's being most aggressive. It keeps things very simple. And again, I don't, trading micros gives me a lot of flexibility. I don't have to panic about things, right? If I take a little bit of heat, obviously I have a daily loss limit for my accounts, and I honor that, right? Like if I hit that daily loss limit, then I'm done for the day. But I'm not using like a hard stop. You guys would see that, if we had a hard stop in at any point in time, we would have gotten stopped out probably a half dozen times. I mean, I guess you could really, I don't know, define that or dial that in. I've just found that, again, for me and the way that I trade, I rather just give it some room and let it play out. Like we know, right, that if our delta starts breaking below this level right here, then man, that means the sellers are really stepping in. But that's not happening yet. Um, so it's okay. Be nice if this thing would break through this 1K level and kind of keep running a little bit, but it may not. We've certainly filled the gap, so we'll just let this process play out here. Some days like you'll have really good delta or really good order flow, right? When I say order flow, I'm really meaning the CBD. Um, I know that that's a broad umbrella term, but I'm not looking at footprints or anything like that. But sometimes you'll get some really nice, crystal clear alignment between the two of them, and other time you've got to kind of, you know, uh, read the tea leaves, as I like to say. You're you're just kind of taking your best guess at getting in alignment with it and actually getting enough directional, large enough of a directional move that you can really add into a position. So, all right, let's see what happens. I thought they'd come back down again and tap it. That's all right. The delta really starts pushing negative, then we'll get out. This is kind of the my line in the sand here on this delta chart. It's retesting neutral. Don't blow me out of another trade here. I'm gonna buy another half here, so 5 micros. Okay, that's okay. Remember, I'm thinking of this kind of like a zone. I'm gonna buy another 5, so that puts me at 2. If we break below this, though, we're going to get out. It just is what it is. Let's see if it'll hold. No, not looking good for the home team. You bastards. Let's see here. No. Is that our low? Okay, so we're hitting the RTH low now. I'm going to try one more time here. We're going to average down into this one pretty good. We'll go up to 4 full-size contracts. Okay, and we'll see if we get this bounce from here. So remember I said to you guys that this, so basically we went from the RTH high, which is this one, and now we're tapping the RTH low. So if it breaks through this, then we're going to be out and it's just going to be an L for the day, and that's okay. I mean, it's, you guys have to trade within your account parameters, and that's, like I said, I have a hard daily loss limit. I know that I don't want to lose more than that amount, and there's some days that you're just not in alignment with it. You can't get in alignment with it, and it is what it is, right? I'm not there yet, so the accounts are still okay. I was kind of hoping to get some more directional movement, but something for you guys to think about too is that you can absolutely just scalp uh, these 1K, 2K, 3K levels, which is something that I was showing Chip last week. You can certainly do that as well. And a lot of times I will just buy at the 1K level, maybe average down to the 2K or average down at the 3K. Buy a few more here. Now watch, it'll reverse right as soon as it hits that 1K. Okay, I don't want to go too much more than that. So we're in 7 contracts. Let's see if it holds. 5K is my kind of, yeah. Come on, guys. I'm going to give it a second here. This is why I say that you can't predict anything, right? Like you just can't. Let's look at the strategic chart real quick. So we didn't even sweep a previous high or anything like that. It just started dropping. Okay. My best trades are always going to come from these 1K, 2K, 3K, 4K, 5K levels. I lean on them pretty heavy, much more so than, again, the delta neutral line is very important for me. These 1K levels, these kind of intraday levels that I draw, I'm not putting a whole lot of weight in them, but you can see where once we broke below this right here that it did sell. Again, if you're just scalping, I'm really trying to show you guys like, I don't know, how I build a position or how to get in alignment with it. This is kind of a funky day because it's kind of all over the map, even though basically it's been in a, I guess it's been in a downtrend since we opened up. But again, when you're trying to just read the delta. So once these positions start to go in profit, then I'll start selling them off and kind of recouping the loss. The goal trying to get back to break even on the day and then give it enough room to let it run a little bit, right? Okay, so let's see here. This is RTH low now. Like to see price break this high first, and that just kind of confirms to me that there is absorption taking place, right? Those limit orders are buying it up. Looks like it. I'm gonna sell a few more off here. Retest of the 1K. If this starts breaking, then we'll have to just have to exit within their loss. We've been able to recoup quite a bit of the drawdown that we held through right there. Want to see Delta and price both make a new high from here. And if they don't, if it does break through this kind of RTH low, then we need to exit and basically either look to short or flip short. So price is reaching up into that swing point before the delta. That's a good thing. So there's again um, limit order buying kind of backing this up here. Let's see if it does continue to go higher. I'm gonna sell a few more off. Okay. All right, boys, let's run it back up. All right, want to see Delta break this. Sell a few more. Took more heat than I like on the way down. I'm not going to lie to you about that, but thankfully the accounts have got plenty of room in them. And again, that's you guys will have to kind of work that out. Everybody asks me all the time, what about your risk? And again, I set a daily loss limit for my accounts, and as long as I don't hit that, then I'm good. I give myself plenty of room to work in and out of these trades. If you're just starting and you've got a tiny little eval, like a 50K with a $2,500 drawdown, then just focus on buying these, these like 1K levels, right? Buy the 1K, buy the 3K. You're going to get nice bounces like this most times. Um, Obviously, you want to let price confirm it. And I think one of my issues is that I run into is that I'll get something like this where it doesn't quite get down to that 1K level, and then I buy it, and then I end up taking heat through that. Okay, so this is good, right? So now we've got buying aggression coming back in. Our price is higher. I'm going to take a little more off, and we're now uh, well into profit on the day, so that's good. I'm going to screenshot this. I just let it run. No, yeah, I really let it run. I mean, like when we're up against this previous days. So now that it's like lost this previous day's VWAP and our delta is negative, um, you know, that's not a good sign for bulls, right? That it's fallen below that. And so, when I flip short here, I mean, not necessarily. If it breaks through this 1K level, right, and it starts breaking back down through there, then yeah, I would potentially short it. But I'm not just going to initiate a short just because we're back up against this previous days. I'm going to try to let this run, right? Because I took a lot of heat. I was like $5,500 worth of heat on the way down. And that sucks to that's not ideal. In hindsight, right? I know that these 1K levels, 2K, 3K, 4K, 5K hold a lot better, and you just get a lot nicer bounces out of them. And I guess that's the struggle, right? Between trying to, and I was explaining this to Chip, is that when you're trying to explain something to somebody and you're trying to convey a thought or an idea, it's difficult while also trying to trade live and do it. Um, I guess the best thing that I would tell you guys is that, stick to that initial opening drive, right? Like I was fiddling with the charts because I wanted to show you guys a 5 second. I was fiddling with the charts. That initial opening drive, if you would have just, kind of bought that on the way up, um, and then again, it hit this 1K and then just rejected strongly from that. Didn't even sweep the high, right? So would I short that normally? No, I'm not going to short that normally because with this strong push up, I want to see, it break higher. So that kind of caught me off guard, right? I'm not going to lie to you that caught me off guard that there was so much selling right there. And then when we get this break lower, right, all I can do is read the information I'm given. So we get this break lower. We did take a small short right here, which basically lined up with this. I think I might have started it right there. So we were only down maybe 300 bucks at that point, made a little bit of that back up. But then we see this divergence pop up and it's like, okay, well now what? It breaks, goes back up to delta neutral, starts to rally. Um, it's interesting that it did not go back up to the 1K at that point. Um, and then it started to break down. I probably should have just taken a short right here, when you see it go above neutral and then pull back like that and then rally again and then break that level, again, that's it's telling you something. It's not wanting to hold. The buyers are not really being super aggressive. And so now we find ourselves back down here, right? Where um, we took quite a bit of heat through this whole leg down right here. That was nothing but heat until we got to the 1K and then averaged down heavily into that and then it rallied. So that's not an ideal scenario for me. I don't like that. Just like you guys don't like taking heat or drawdown. Um, and you guys are going to have to, I guess, play with your account sizes and what works for you. So lean on the large round numbers and lean on delta neutral. If delta neutral doesn't hold like it didn't right here, then that's telling you that that aggression is on the sell side. So aggression's still on the sell side. I probably should exit if I'm being honest with you. But I want to see, I'm not going to start exiting the position until this RTH low breaks. If the RTH low breaks on the delta, then it's going to keep going lower. And then I need to try to look for a short. But did that answer your question? I guess you were asking about profit targets. No, I'll let it go until either it comes all the way back down. Again, I've taken enough off at this point that now I'm up about $1,500 on the day, even though I took, again, not an ideal $5,000 drawdown, but I'm happy with that. And so let's see what happens here. So this is a scenario where our price, if you look at the distance, right, between swing points here, we've got quite a divergence where price is quite a bit higher than our delta is. So that means that there's been a lot of limit order buying through here, right? This is reporting to us the aggressive market orders, but underneath that, there's limit order support that's holding this up right now. We'll see if it starts breaking below the RTH low, then I'm going to get out completely. You can see too that like right here, it reclaimed that 1K level and rallied out of that. So, if you'd have bought that initial push to 1K, you got a nice spring out of that, kind of retest it, another nice little spring out of that. So you can certainly just scalp that. Um, let's see if the buyers are actually going to hold it here or if the sellers are going to continue to be aggressive and sell it off. Right. So it was really because I was still long from up here. I was thinking that there was going to be, right? Like there was a battle right here, broke above delta neutral, pulled back to it, then rallied, pulled back to it again. And then when it broke that, I should have exited. I took way too much heat on that. Really, the premise of averaging down right there was just it hitting that 1K level. It hit the low, which was from over here, hit that 1K level, um, and we got a nice bounce out of it. And then that was really it. So it was more or less, hey, it's hitting the 1K level. I know that, again, those algorithms that recalibrated at the open, they're going to start buying it once the delta gets to certain levels. They start to kick in because they are constantly like balancing their positions and Let's see if this holds though. So there's still a nice divergence here. So there's aggressive selling, right? But price is higher. If nothing else, you guys could absolutely wait for, these kinds of, so I call it's not like a large divergence. It's more, okay, let's see what it does here. It's not like a large divergence. It's more of a medium-sized divergence where a lot of times these will hold and turn into really nice, pushes back up. I'm not going to get out just yet. Okay, now probably need to take some more off here. Okay, I'm going to exit there. So it's definitely got a clear break lower now. Price is starting to kind of match its movement, right? But I'm not going to, if I wasn't transitioning from a long trade down here, then you could certainly take a short there. I'm a little concerned about the divergence, but right now, again, the sellers are being more aggressive, so we have to assume that they're the ones that are being aggressive and it's going to continue lower. I guess I'm more of like a reversion trader than anything. I will take these with, in trend trades. Um, and you can. I'm reluctant to do it because I just kind of closed out that long position. So it's interesting that it did not reach back to this previous day's VWAP. I don't have the 500 levels on here. There are some times that you will get some nice bounces from them as well. Um, I wanted to leave them off because I really kind of wanted to focus on the 1K levels, but when the delta gets to like, 1500 and it taps into that again, you might get a little bounce right there. And it's just a matter of trying to build into positions. So right now the momentum's down. I'm gonna get rid of this. Let this thing resolve itself. I won't get long again until, until it reclaims this 1K level. There's there's a divergence, but that's not enough for me to get into it. Um, I want to confirm it with the aggressive buying before we try to buy it again. And hopefully we'll get a big sell off and we can either catch a bounce at 2K or catch a bounce at 3K or get a retest. Like right now, see how it's kind of in the middle of these 2 points, so it's not in a good place for me to initiate a short, right? The time to initiate the short would have been right here when it broke down. Um, but right now, for me, it's too late to try to short it because it's not up against one of these levels. right, I'm gonna grab something to drink. I'll be right back. I would not be surprised if they push it back down though and sweep these lows here. I'll be right back, guys. Mute the mic. All right, back. Looks like we're hitting 1500 again. Kind of want to let's see how this plays out right here. Again, I don't have the 500 levels marked on here, but if Delta starts to really extend up and break through these levels, then we can try along. Otherwise, we gotta wait until I'm not going to short it. Like, you know, you again, you could absolutely short that, but you just have to remember that you don't have a whole lot to go back down to this level. So I want to see if we get this push down to 2K, and if it pushes down to 2K, then we'll rebuy it. Try to catch another long from here. Okay, so strong push down there. That's good. Probably going to continue lower. That also could be stops too. Like that's something to think about, right? That the guys like me, right, who, I close my position up here, but if I was trying to hold that, then I'm going to have stop losses all through this area. That as as price drifts back down, it's triggering those. So we'll see if we get some new fresh buying from here. I'm really looking at um, this level, but I don't don't see it yet. Sellers. The sellers are still pushing it down. Look at this strategic chart here and just see where we're at. Again, nothing significant, right? We're not back down to this weekly. We're nowhere near these down here. So, and there's a previous day's VWAP that's right here, but we still got a long ways to go. Let me go to like a 15-minute chart on this one. That'd be easier for you guys to see it. Yep, there's that kind of follow through selling there. Let's see if it keeps going. It's still loading. Gracious. Yep, when Delta's looking like that, then you need to be on the short side of things, right? Like it's so I want to see, I'm kind of chomping at the bit here for this reach into 1K or reach into 2K. Really want to see this thing slam down into this so we can rebuy it here. Yeah, go ahead, brother. I just grabbed a T myself, so I'll probably try to do one more trade. Okay, there we go. So there's a push to 2K. I'm gonna buy 5 right there. 5 micros. Good strong push like that. Again, that's a lot of that is stops being triggered, right? Let this thing see if we can zoom in here a little more. Okay. I'm gonna add into this a little bit. There we go. Come on, buyers, you gonna buy it back up? So we want to see them continue to push past these. This is kind of a critical point right here. So see how price is approaching that level before The delta. So again, that's those. It's aggressive buying, but it's also being backed by limit orders. Take some profit. Okay, and then we're just going to kind of let the rest go. See if we can get. So, kind of my ideal setup, right, is to buy from one of these larger levels, and then we get a push. I'm going to change the color of this because I don't like that blue. So just give me a second here. You guys probably having a hard time seeing it. Just make it white. That's pretty bright though. Sure. All right, so what I like to see is, we buy it here at the 2K and then it breaks above the 1K, right? If it breaks above that 1K, then we get like a retest of the 1K, add in. And again, I'm not predicting. I'm just telling you what I like to see because it could certainly keep selling off from here. Something like that, right? Rebuying that 1K level uh and adding in. So we got a little bounce, but yeah, of course, man. Good luck, brother. Work meetings are always fun.
Yeah, have a good one. I'll catch up with y'all later this afternoon.
Yeah, see you, Ryan.
All
I'm
right, see ya.
gonna
Bye, mate.
probably work this last trade out and then I'll be done too, man. Now that I'm back up on the day and I'm not in such a hole.
Harry, earlier when you was in the trade, when you was 3,500 down,
Yeah,
um, like if that was me in that position, I'd have just panicked and got out the trade as fast as I can and took a heavy loss. But
right.
do you think that you had confidence in holding the position because there was the round number on the delta just below, and you was confident you get a reversal off that level? Is that why you could hold it?
Yeah, yeah. Because again, I've just seen it time and time again that they tend to bounce like that.
Mm,
And it goes back to, like I said, just I know that my best trades are going to originate from these large round delta levels. The algorithms are working in like 500 and 1,000 lot chunks. And so if you think about it like that, it's just logical, right? They're going to, they have a certain amount of orders that they need to fill in order to execute their hedging operations. And so, they're not buying 10 lots at a time. They're like, hey, we need to hedge another 1,000 contracts. So buy another 1,000, or we need to buy another 5,000. And so when those delta levels get down like that, then there's gonna be buying that takes place. Um, the difficulty is again trying to like articulate all of it to you guys and have it make sense. I would love to have seen that delta neutral level hold because I would say 9 out of 10 times this is going to be a major holding point. So I was surprised to see this thing come down, reclaim it, and then get sold back off again. That's unusual. Usually, once it's been reclaimed like that, the again that's RTH delta neutral. Once RTH delta neutral has been reclaimed, then it runs in the other direction. So this was kind of, I'm not going to say it's highly unusual activity, but that's not normal for me to take that much heat because it did something abnormal. And again, that's where you can't really predict what it's going to do. I try not to do that. So now we're starting to break below this. So if if this thing, and you guys can see that they're back in alignment with each other again. So it might go lower from here, back down to either the 2 or the 3K or whatever. We caught a nice bounce right there. We were in profit. Now kind of back in the hole again. So let's see what happens here. If it breaks this, then I'll exit it. It's not, like I said, it's not too much at this point. So, but I don't want it to get I don't want it to get out of hand. It's not fun, right? Like it's not fun taking heat on your account. So, um, if it breaks this delta level, you could potentially short it. But for me, it's kind of a little late. We'll just give it a little bit of time here. It's hitting it, but it's not like completely convincing me that they're wanting it to go lower from here. So I'm okay with kind of holding through a little bit of heat here. If the delta starts, so there is a divergence. It's very, very slight, and it won't really matter unless the delta starts to climb up out of here. You guys can see this. We've got that, and we've got that. So if our delta starts to break above this area right here, then we can add back it. I can add into this. But if it starts to go this direction, then we need to get out. So let's see if it closes up above it. I'm gonna I'm gonna go into one. Let's do 1.5. So we'll DCA down to 1.5 contracts. I'm gonna clean this up a little bit. I want to just leave the divergence there so you guys can see it. Sorry if you guys heard that. I was taking a sip of tea. So we want to see this hold right along here. We want to see the 2K hold. All right, so that's good. This is why I look at the 5 second, right? Like if you're looking at a 1 minute, you're not going to see these kinds of little divergences and the kind of details that happen around these levels. I want to see the details. So now, what would be nice is that it starts to start breaking these highs. Just realized too that my Bluetooth is no longer paired. So let me fix that real quick. Sorry. There we go. I would say that it's less than optimal. Like it's not necessarily difficult to read. It's anytime that you get something that you don't expect, right? It's always challenging. So all I can do is, you know, go back to my own experience and my own time watching the charts, and it's unusual for it to, you know, it's not unusual for it to go positive or go negative at RTH and then for it to flip, right? That's normal, right? There's always kind of an initial opening drive and then there's a, you know, a change in direction. Um, and normally that presents itself as a bunch of positive, like, so like this morning, you know, we had a bunch of positive delta and it was going in that direction. I was fiddling with my charts, so I didn't really get to take advantage of that. But it was going in that direction, and then it flipped and it went negative, right? So it flips and goes negative. It's like, okay, now we need to start paying attention to the short side. But then for it to flip and go positive again on RTH, and then not continue to go that way, that is not usual behavior, at least from my perspective. Um, so we got caught off sides, right? And you, when you get caught off sides of something like that, you pay for it. So that's why I think, you know, again, it's just important to stay flexible. You guys have your own accounts and your own drawdowns, and like that's a your risk is a very personal thing. So all I can do is try to share with you what I do, and you know, hopefully give you guys some edge in that regard. But yeah, I mean, it's not ideal for it to flip flop back and forth like that because it does make it difficult to read. So that's why I mean, I tried to lean on the delta neutral level up there and I paid for it. That's unusual. I would say, you know, 18 or 19 out of 20 times, that's going to be just fine. I can lean on the RTH delta level. Um, I know that I can lean on these 1K levels, these 2K levels. I mean, you guys are seeing it here, right? Like we got a really nice bounce right here, right? That kind of saved our butt, and we're catching another one right here. Now this is kind of a new, you know, a new trade that we're trying to initiate. If it starts really breaking down, then we'll get out of it. The nice thing is that as the further you get down this ladder, right, the more aggressive the buying actually gets. So um, there's more opportunities, right, the further that it falls. That's kind of how I look at it. So let's see what it does here. At some point, I know that I'm going to be able to build into a really strong position, and it's going to, you know, continue to run. Um, there's something to be said though that, you know, like we're seeing this strong push down, so this is strong selling, right? We're trying along here at the 2K. If it doesn't work, then it's going to keep going further. Um, would I start a short from here? No, personally I wouldn't, but that's just because I think I lean more towards the reversion side of things, but everybody's different, right? Yeah, I think you know, looking back, what really helped me get profitable was is I would just buy the 1K. I'd buy the 1K levels. Like when price would get down to it, I would just buy it with like a single micro, right? Buy it right there, and then if it drops, I would just get out. And then maybe, you know, the next time, like if it falls down to the 3K level, I might buy it, you know, like for a while I was using, I think the first time I got a payout, I was using like a simplified version of a martingale system where once it broke down down to, okay, so we'll probably have to get out here. once it broke down, then I would buy, if I bought one here and it didn't work, then I would stop out. I'd buy two here. If that didn't work, I'd stop out. And it got down to 4K, I would stop out. So now we're starting to, looks like it might want to drop again. We'll just give it a second here. Right. So this is absorption in the sense that the delta is extending away, but the price is kind of rising. So this is the issue that I always run into, right? Is that I'm always I'm always early, right? I'm always early because I'm seeing the absorption. Like here, we can see there's aggressive selling. And yeah, we want to be in line with that. But at some point, these aggressive sellers are going to be wrong. And that's where the limit order buyers will overpower them. And then this kind of cycle, right? The cycle repeats itself. I mean, you can see that there's buying because in the face of the aggressive selling, price is not falling. So that's something that I'm always looking at. Like, yeah, my delta level's starting to break below, but I'm not shorting this yet because I'm seeing price hold this. Um, if price starts to make new highs, then I'll add into this position. So um, now if it starts falling, then we'll get out. Again, it's try to stay flexible with it. Now it's okay. So now it's looking like it's wanting to drop down. I'll get out, and then hopefully we'll either get some kind of a bounce at 2,500 or 3K, or maybe it does hold. Maybe it does hold and price starts making new highs. Either way, it's like I said, I don't worry about the P&L. I'm just trying to trade the chart. At the end of the day, the P&L will take care of itself. I didn't hit my daily loss limit, even though I got probably super close to it. I think it's a 7,500, and it is what it is. I don't I don't get stressed out about it. I just try to do my best. So yeah, go ahead. Yeah, I'll see you later, Leon. Take care. He's a good guy. He's Yeah, I'm gonna try to. So I'm up on the day now, but I'm not as much as I would like to be. I took a lot of heat on that way down, and that sucks. So I'm trying to. I usually like to try to finish each day up at least, 1,500, 2,500. That kind of keeps things moving in the right direction, and I'm basically at like 1,300 right now. So, um, no, no, not at all. And that, like that kind of heat is not typical, but it's okay. Mm-hmm. Right. So, right. So for those, I've got basically this is my personal account, and then for those, I have Sierra because you could adjust the scaling. So I have the scaling set. Basically it initiates like 1 micro, and then if I average down into like a total of 2 micro, or I'm sorry, not 2 micros, but 2 minis, then it'll add like one more. So you can do some neat stuff with the scaling, so that way those accounts, again, if it's a brand new eval or if it's a brand new funded account, then you have to trade it very, very light, right? Like it's just but once you kind of get enough of a cushion in them, then you can be more flexible with them. So, but if you were, yeah, if you were just starting off, then yeah, and I think that's where when people, when I actually talk with people and do this kind of stuff, they get frustrated because they try to copy my trades and you can't, like, you can't, if you have a brand new account, you can't trade the same way that a guy does who's got a 50K account or a 100K account and they're trading cash, right? Like they just got way more drawdown. But for me, it's really just, hey, trying to share. I think the delta is interesting, and it's neat watching, price react to these levels. And so that's all that I try to do is just scalp around the 1K, 2K, 3K. Sometimes on the NQ, it'll get down to like 7K or 10K, but that's pretty rare. Um, ES has a much thicker book, so sometimes on ES, I think the lowest I've ever seen it go is like, like 50K. Um, so, but those levels hold up as well too. So, yeah. It's just I like it because it's thinner. Like it's just a thinner book, and I feel like it's easier for me to read. But it's all personal preference. I mean, they both basically trade the same way. And one of the things that I don't have on the chart here is the tick stuff. Like I'll have the nicety tick and the NQ tick, or not the NQ tick. The NQ tick is very, I can't really make heads or tails of it because it's only tracking 100 companies, and so if 40 of them are selling off or 60 of them are selling off, that's telling me that there's a lot of selling, but I just can't really find any divergences, right? Like that's what's nice. Like this morning, I don't have any of that information up, so I have no idea what the overall market's doing. It could just be, it could absolutely be slamming, negative 1,000 over and over and over again, and I could just be fighting against that. So, um, but yeah, right, sure, yeah, yeah, right. Yeah, I think so. I mean, I spent a lot of time, you're right, like with footprint charts and looking at like unfinished auctions and yeah, all of that stuff. And I would, like statistically, those unfinished auctions are going to be mitigated, but when? Like there's one group that I was with, they really only look at like a 30-minute footprint chart, and that's their whole game plan is like if there's an unfinished auction at the bottom of that thing, then they're basically looking for a pullback. um if this thing breaks higher, I might go long here, we'll see. But if it so in Sierra chart, when you have the footprint, you can have what's called a pullback leg on the side of it, And so, if price is falling like it is today, and let's say that there's an unfinished auction down here at, 6:30, they will look at that pullback leg on that footprint chart and try to find a delta level there to reinitiate a short on, and they're just trying to scalp that short back down to complete that auction. I mean, that stuff certainly works. Um, but again, like it's just for me, I spend a lot of time on it, and I just really tried to simplify order flow. And I mean, I don't know. Like for me, it just comes down to risk. As long as I'm not hitting my daily loss limit, I've got a lot of room to play around on my trades. And it's really more about like intraday scalping and position trading for me. Everybody's different, like this isn't for everybody. I got my first payouts just scalping around these 1K, 2K, 3K levels because I noticed, right, that there was good bounces in them, and I just stuck with that, right, because it was consistent. And it was easier for me to read this than it was for me to try to read a footprint chart and all of that. So um, I don't know. Again, everybody's different. So I would say that I'm gonna I'm gonna put a micro on right here, just because I like it when price is really like this. This shows me strong limit order buying when price is really making a legit new high, and our delta's still back down here. We'll see. Well, that's good. Whether or not it's for everybody is something completely different. But yeah, right, yeah, right, right, right. Yeah, yeah, right. Yes, sure. Well, for me, I definitely I definitely look to add to winners. I mean, DCA is not my preferred technique, but I'm happy to do it, and it's just I've gotten good at it and able to keep my accounts intact, and it's primarily because again I'm leaning on kind of the delta levels. Um, yeah, I really struggled with getting stopped out a lot initially, and then I was like, "What am I doing?" And there's an interview. This I'll have to post it for you guys to check out, but there's an interview I read of this guy, and he, again, he started with like a $3,000 account, but now he's got like a multi-million dollar trading account, and he's like, I don't use stop losses. He's like, I stopped using stops after I hit like 10K because I just had a tremendous amount of flexibility, and I could get in and out of the trades. And so I was like, oh, okay. So, you know, I kind of took that as like, with my Apex accounts, I need to really be super careful with them initially. And yeah, maybe you have to take some stops, but after that, I kind of, lightened up on the reins a bit and just started to let them run and play out, and especially with something like the NQ, because it just kind of does what it wants to do. And you know the thing is that like accumulation and distribution takes time. So you're right, there's a lot of times that I'll see accumulation happening, but I'm too early. And so I don't know, I try to give myself enough room to let it play out. And sometimes it works great. Sometimes, I'd be lying to you if I told you I'd never blow out accounts. I mean, it does happen. So it just. Yeah. So if I were to start a 50K account today, then I would only buy the initial push one way or the other, right? RTH push, that's what I call it, or opening drive. I would either buy or sell that depending on where the aggression was at. And then I would look to, buy or sell that delta pullbacks to that delta neutral level, which again this morning was an anomaly. It's weird for it to go one way, cross it, and then not keep going that direction. It's unusual for it's not like it's not a VWAP, right? So it's not like, I mean, there's all kinds of times, where I see VWAP being crisscrossed. RTH delta neutral is not like that at all. I mean, I've seen that thing like serve as a brick wall before. So I would, buy or sell a pullback to that, and then I would play these 1K levels. Um, and that would be it. I would do it with small size, and then uh, I would not DCA into anything on a brand new 50K account. Um, to me, the DCA really the only way that I have any room and I'm able to do it is once those accounts have, a nice cushion in them. So like I have some 50K accounts that have literally 50K of profit in them. And that gives me, basically once you get to a certain point, the account size becomes irrelevant because that there's so much of a cushion in there that you just got a lot of room to play with. So, but if it was a brand new account, yeah, I would probably just take stops and not DCA, because as soon as you start DCA and you start jeopardizing that trailing drawdown, and you're gonna hit that thing all the time. So, um, right, yeah, it's. I've heard good things about them. Yeah, right. Oh, okay. So so it's a one-time fee, and then you can, like, trade sim or whatever to kind of. That's cool. Hmm. Wow. How much was it initially? Like 150 bucks or so, or nice. So, and then what did they give you access to software, or you basically you're yeah, okay. Right. Yeah. I like Quantower. I've used them not a lot, but I've used them before. Kind of when I first dove into Sierra Chart, I dove in, bonked my head in the bottom of the pool, and I was like, like, all right, maybe this isn't gonna work because I was coming from Ninja Trader, where I bought the lifetime license, and so hit my head on the bottom of the pool, and I was like, I need to find something else, and so then I traded on Quantower for maybe 6 months, and liked it. It's clean interface, it feels good, but it just does not have the customization that Sierra Chart does. So I was like, all right, I need to go back and really try to learn this platform, and I still learn stuff about Sierra Chart every day. Like I don't have it all figured out at all. So yeah. This thing's probably looking like it's wanting to break lower here. I'll just take a look at the. So I like it that we're finally starting to come down towards, and this is where some of these levels will come into play. Like I'll look at, I'm going to zoom in on this. So we've got basically the rolling weekly, rolling weekly from last week, and then there's a previous day's VWAP here, along with the swing. So it's good to know that that's below us. But again, I'm not I do not take trades based on these levels at all. They're literally just um like I said, ladder rungs, so to speak. No, that's completely accurate. And honestly, like I could literally just have what we're looking at right here and make a bunch of money. Like just literally trading this kind of 5 second chart, because really for me this is what matters. I want to know where the buyers and sellers are at. That's it. And what happens is that I'll get wrapped up in those horizontal levels and trying to pick a level and trying to guess, and ultimately it doesn't matter. Like right now, like it's they are, there's heavy selling, but price isn't really falling. So that's saying something. But there's some kind of level right here. Whatever that level is irrelevant to me. What matters is whether or not these buyers are actually going to, get their butts in gear and actually start buying this thing back up. So to me, this is way more important, right? And honestly, like again, what you're seeing, Travis, is a not a hodgepodge, but man, I've gotten so many questions over the last month, and it's like, okay, everything from, hey bro, can you give me some money, to hey bro, can you buy me an account, or hey bro, can you teach me this, that, and the other, and it's like, I mean, there's a floor trader in here who's struggling. He hasn't traded. All right. So if it breaks this, then we're definitely going lower. I'll probably just get out of this little micro here. Um, been struggling for 13 years, and it's like, dude. you've been struggling for 13 years. Like, what are you doing? And that it's hard for me to hear that. It's hard for me to see that. All the way to the other end of the spectrum where you got folks that just, you know, they have nothing, like no system whatsoever, and like my heart goes out to them. It's difficult to see, and I want to help people, but at the same time, like, you know, I'm just one person, so I think that's kind of yeah, for sure. Yeah, yeah, for sure. You're right. Yeah, yeah. The golden ticket is in your risk management. Like that's really it. Like, because I mean, pretty much every trade, one way or the other, is you're in profit at some point. So it's like, at least that's for me. When I shifted my focus away from trying to pick the perfect entry to just managing risk, and like that's what really helped. So, but go ahead. So are you married? You got kids, or like what's your what's the and yeah, that's cool. And how old are you? Did you? Oh, that's right. You said that. Okay. All right. And are you getting your VA disability and stuff? Good. Good. Yeah. Yeah, that's okay. That's cool. Yeah. 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 Right. Right. Well, yeah, that's not a bad spot to be though, right? Like you're yeah. Right. Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, that's it doesn't all that all that matters is like the peace of mind that you get from your work, and then the people that you're working with. I mean, it's people don't leave companies, people leave bad people, right? It's the same stuff that we encountered in the military, right? Like you could have the best job in the world, but if you have bad leadership, then then it sucks. So hmm yeah, Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, it's chart books. Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So frustrating. Yeah. Yeah. Right. Well, yeah, and I mean, and all of that stuff too is hard for guys like us coming from the military, where like there's no, I mean, we say like again coming from special ops, where we say we operate in the gray, but we don't really though, because you still have to follow all the rules and regulations and all that stuff. So you know, trading, and then on top of that, like we always say, well, failure is not an option, right? Because our lives depend upon it. And that is true, but I think the problem is that it creates this very kind of toxic machismo environment where when people make mistakes, right, they're punished very, very heavily for that. And what I've realized is that especially as traders, not just as traders, but as human beings, is that the way that we learn is through mistakes. Like that's really the best way to learn a lesson or learn how to do something is to fail and fail and fail and fail and fail until you literally reach the point where you don't make any mistakes. So like when I think about like again, I was on a military freefall team. So we spent a week in a wind tunnel bouncing off the walls, right? Um, getting laughed at, banging our heads all over the place, because it took us like a week to figure out how to fly through the air without a parachute, right? And be stable and do it with full kit and a rucksack and whatever kind of equipment you've got. So when I think about like how many millions of corrections did my body in my brain make during that time when I was learning to do free fall, right? So it's the same kind of thing with trading. Like you just get a very like you develop intuition, but it comes over a long period of time. So, don't I mean I can tell that you're brilliant and you're saying all the right things. I think that anybody who knows anything about trading would say, just, it might just take you a little bit more time, right? You might need to just fail a little bit more before you really start kind of getting that conviction. Can you still hear me all right? My headphones just died. Okay. Well, one of them died. Um, and it's tough because one of the things that I wanted to talk about this morning, and I didn't get to because I wasn't sure who was going to be on, and I didn't. The guy that I really wanted to talk to, who's actually like paying me money, didn't show up. So I'm like, okay, I don't know what's up with that, but it's okay. Was this idea of your self image, and for me it was something that I really struggled with because I was your typical military dude, right? Like I was hard on people. I had all kinds of affairs on my wife and did, some really terrible things in my life that took me a long time, right, to really kind of unpack and process, and I went through like a real dip in my self-image and my belief in myself. And so when it comes to trading, you you're only going you will never outperform whatever your self-image is. So if you think, and I might say you, I don't mean you, Travis. I mean just traders in general, right? But when you think, well, I'm having a hard time reading this, I'm inconsistent, et cetera, I'm not really getting the consistency that I want or the payouts, like then that's going your trading experience is going to continue to be that until you start to develop positive self-image and start to build belief in yourself, which again, coming from the military, I realize this thing looks like it's going to drop, um, which is fine because then it just means there's a better buy later on. But coming from the military, I realized that I didn't really have any self-discipline. What I had was a tremendous amount of um, competitiveness. Like I was just competitive. I didn't want to be last on the runs. I wanted to, I didn't want to get outshot by my teammates. And so I was very competitive. And when you bring that competitiveness to the market, like you just end up getting your butt kicked. And so I had to learn how to, like what does it mean to actually be disciplined? Oh, like this morning, I got up at 4:30. By 5 o'clock, I was walking, right? I walked 5 miles, and um, you've got to build those daily habits. So it's a combination of your thoughts, like what kind of thoughts are you having about yourself? It's a combination of those habits, those daily habits that you're putting into place. Everything from, oh, I think they both died now. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. So, building those daily habits, everything from what do you eat to, like what, are you drinking enough water? Are you watching too much TV? All that stuff, right? All of that affects your self-image and your belief in yourself and your trading. And for me, like I became profitable when I darn near forced myself, lied to myself, whatever you want to call it, that I was a profitable trader. And the other thing that I was going to show you guys was just like, you know, I printed out the little Apex payout form or the little
Mhm.
certificate, that you received a payout and put my name on it. I look at that thing every morning when Apex releases, a monthly payout winners, right? I take that thing, I get on Paint or Canva and I scratch out whoever is at the top or number 4 or number 5, whatever your goal is, right?
Mhm.
And I put my name there and and then I've got, pictures of my wife and kids. Like, why am I doing this? Why am I sitting here suffering through this? Because the market's not, it's fun, it's fascinating, it's intriguing, but it's not like if you and I are on the lake fishing right now, we'd be having way more fun, right?
Right. It's much different.
Yeah, it's much different. So, like why is it that you're suffering through this? And just all of those things, right? It's discipline, it's that self-belief, it's that self-image. And I think once you maybe start to hone in on that a little more, oh yeah, we're gonna drop here. once you start honing in on that a little more, then I think things will start coming together, um, and you'll start getting the success that you want. And as far as your entries go, I guess what I would say to you is that if you're looking at your chart and your delta is in the middle of nowhere and it's not really like right now, like I would not necessarily want to be a buyer, right? When it's kind of in the middle of all of this. Yeah, there's a 500 level there, but you know, try to buy these 1K levels, or wait
Hmm.
for, wait for price to get there and have a reaction before you start to build into a position. That Yeah. So this long, you can see how there's higher highs right here than there are in the delta chart.
Hmm.
So
Absolutely.
they're buying it, right? It's just a matter of when are they actually going to flip it over and start getting aggressive with it. So there's absorption that's taking place. We see it. The delta's, selling price is still not really dropping. So there's absorption taking place. It's probably still too early for it to completely reverse and go back up. But yeah, man, I mean, like, you're doing all the things. Maybe you just gotta fail a little bit more, maybe work on your entries a little bit and then just work on your belief in yourself and your confidence. It's
Yeah, I think that was really a big take home for me and something I can relate to. Just and one thing I was gonna say in the Discord too, I decided to left it out just because I didn't want anyone to like read it and have it sound discouraging. But I was just gonna say like trading is by far the hardest, easiest thing I've ever tried to do.
yeah,
And
man.
it's like and not to like toot my own horn, but growing up my whole life, like playing sports, I was always, one of, if not the best on the team. In
Yeah,
the military, did really well, right? Did really well
right.
with my prior career. Like I'm used to having a high level of success at anything I try, assuming I put in the, appropriate amount of work. Trading couldn't be any further from that. I have put so much time and effort into this, man, and have
Right.
not gotten the reward. That's been a wake up call for me, and it's been
Yeah,
extremely discouraging. It's made me question, myself and like Travis, like, what the hell happened to you, dude? You used to be
yeah,
killer, now you're sucking, man. Like,
right.
and just tying the trade outcomes to myself, and what I mean by that is again, not so much from like the financial standpoint, like I traded demo for multiple years. Like I
Yeah.
wasn't even gaining or risking money, but just eating those losses like ate at me as a person and my character because I was
Hmm.
not used to that. And then my brain, I'm like, okay, well, I can't help but associate winning trades to progress. Because let's be honest here, if you're a successful trader, you're probably going to have some winning trades. You can't
Yeah.
you can't make money without winning trades, right? Does that mean you need to win every trade? No, absolutely not. But nonetheless, like winning is a prerequisite to success in trading, no matter how you cut it.
Hmm.
So just because I know that, it's very difficult for me to like detach from the outcome in the sense of like wanting to make progress. It's not financially related. It's like, okay, I want to be a successful trader. So if I'm taking a string of losses, I know that that's not, those two don't jive. That's not going to yield the result, you know? So then it just starts eating at me in that aspect because I'm like, well, man, like you got to figure something out. And that's, obviously what led to strategy hopping early on is wanting to avoid losers and this and that. But,
Yeah.
just you mentioning that self-image thing is probably like hit the nail on the head with probably one of my biggest struggles.
So, you're right in that, like, so this will be interesting here. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, it's a massive divergence there.
Yeah. So you're right in that, like, mathematically, right, you have to have winning trades to be successful as a trader. However, I think the counterpoint to that is that every single one of those losses is like the cornerstone of success. Like, your success is literally built on the failure. You're
Hmm.
like, failure is the most important part of success. And and like, yeah, there, like you said, there's things that you've been good in, kind of naturally your whole life, like sports and things like that. However, that's that doesn't necessarily translate directly into trading because, the market will eat you up.
Hmm.
And yeah, I mean, like the failure piece of it though, like the losses are just a necessary part of the game. And like really the more losses you have and the longer that it takes you to really get it, I think that and like, it makes you a better trader over the long run, which if you think about it, like, you're 32, it's not like you're going to stop trading the financial markets anytime soon. Like once it gets into your
Hmm.
blood, like it's there. So, there's kids that make it in their first year or their second year. And again, like God's got everybody on a different journey, and
Yeah.
you don't really know. You don't know. So brother, you just got to keep going, man. Like,
Yeah. No,
yeah,
100%, man. And like, I don't want to sound like a Debbie Downer over here or anything. Like, at the end of the day, like, it's not a matter of if, for me, it's when. And I do fully believe that and know that.
yeah,
It's just more so just kind of sharing my journey and a little bit of, I'm always trying to be open about my struggles and areas where I'm maybe not the best in or things I need to improve in, etc.
yeah. Well, I appreciate that. That's good. I mean, most people won't do that. Like they're trying to keep a mask on and
Yeah.
you know, I don't know, this trading is not something that you can do that with because yeah, I mean, it's tough. You're right. You said earlier that it's the hardest easy thing you've done, and
Yeah.
it's so true. I mean, again, dude, I went through Army SF selection, Delta selection, and those were cakewalks compared to what I've experienced mentally as a trader. I
Right.
mean,
Just different.
absolute cakewalks, right? Because it's like, oh, you're out walking through the woods and you got a map and compass, and like it's not
Yeah.
they're easy compared to this, right? The only thing that I would, I guess, compare it to, and it's completely different, is just losing friends in combat. Like that, watching people
Hmm.
die, that that sucks, but it doesn't make you seeing somebody else die does not make you face your own demons, right?
Yeah.
The way that trading does. And so I think in a lot of ways trading, is more difficult, at least has been for me to handle than seeing what I've seen on the battlefield, right? So
Hmm.
I don't know, it's tricky, man. Now we're getting a little push. Let's see what happens here. I probably should have exited, but this purple line's previous day's VWAP. It's not a naked one. It's been hit before, but not that's where we're at.
Do you pay any attention to ES, or do you just use like I know you said like the New York Stock Exchange tick or like the Amex tick or whatever the other one is?
When you what was the first thing you said? VS?
If you pay, yeah, if you pay any attention to ES, the S&P
Oh, the
500.
ES. I mean like as far as like SMTs or divergences or things like that.
Yeah, just for like correlation or context, right? Like if maybe you're looking to buy, the Nasdaq, but ES has just sliced through a critical support area, just kind of for more context. Is that something you use, or do you find it creates more noise for you?
No, I have chart books that are set up where I've got basically what we're looking at right here. We've got,
Hmm.
we've got the NQ on like a 5 second, and I've got ES, um, kind of side by side. I'm watching them hit delta levels. I'm watching divergences. Yeah, I mean, I like that stuff. I think that it's good too. I mean, for sure, whenever there's confluence between things, I think that that's more powerful. But the issue that I have, and I realized this past week when I was trading with Chip, or his name's SC Trader, is that there's only so much stuff that I can show you on one screen, right? Like,
Yeah.
and trying to, it's a combination, like, and I don't know, like I guess I disappointed him last week because I didn't have something really structured, to show exact entry criteria and things like that. And
Mhm.
I tried to do more of that today, but again, I was just kind of thinking of it as, oh, hey, come watch me trade
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
thing. And I don't know. So, he let me know. He was like, hey, this is going to have to be more structured if you're actually going to teach people. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like, yeah, I get that. Like, I'm not trying to
Mhm.
put on a clinic. I, I'm basically trying to demonstrate what it is that I do as a trader and then maybe help people with that while at the same time, like, not giving away every bit of my edge, if that makes sense. So, I like
Yeah.
this right here that we pierce through that and we're coming down to this 4K level. I would like to probably I'm gonna go down to like 5 micros right here because it might push back down to this 4K, which should be fine. This is a previous day's VWAP, or at least proximity it is. I do have this little volume profile over here, and it's really just showing me it's the whole chart, so we're kind of hitting a cluster of, I'm not going to say that it's a high volume node necessarily, but this is an area where which would be expected. And that's something else that I forgot to put on here is that normally I have the large round numbers. Like I see now that we're hitting 25,600. Like duh, this is going to be an area where there's probably going to be some buying, right? Um,
Mhm.
so I do like to have those on there as well. I didn't put them on this chart book. So
Yeah. Yeah. I like the use of CBD and how you're, kind of trying to spot these reactions at the CBD levels. That's not anything that I've really seen in the past.
right. So I really like, I'm not expecting this to completely bounce from here, right? I think I feel certain that they're going to push it down. And if it pushes down, I'll watch it and see what it does right here. Then I'll try to build into a heavier position. But just in case, for whatever reason, it does start running, I got 5 micros on and it's fine. But yeah, I'm really trading these lines. Like at this point, right now that we're like through the open, it's kind of, like it's kind of actually really gone directional now. I'm looking to trade these. There are times when I will absolutely, like this. This could have been, you know, could have shorted that, could have shorted that break, but it's just that we're kind of, I feel like when I look back at the strategic chart, I feel like we're kind of getting a little long in the tooth right here for me to be shorting.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's everybody's a little different in what they, what they do and what they look at. And for me, it's really all about the risk. As long as I don't get insane with my risk, I'm not worried about blowing out my account. So
Mhm.
I'll
It's been cool to
probably,
see that for sure.
well, I know it's different. I mean,
Yeah.
so are you guys from Texas originally or did you just move out there like you said because of the property tax thing?
So I'm actually from Southern California.
Oh, okay. What part?
Yeah. Like Orange County.
Nice. I've spent quite a
Yeah,
bit
and
of time out there at
I was
Pendleton.
stationed in yeah, that's where I was stationed at. So it worked good for me because it wasn't really like far from home.
Yeah. I think that we should do that more with people. I hate it that we take people from California and station them on the East Coast and vice versa. I think that that's stupid.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know. Like I spent 7 years in Germany and I got to know like the Germans, their Bundeswehr guys pretty well, and they don't do that. They station people as close as possible to their home. And if you think about it, like,
Mhm.
I'm 48 now, but I look back at me being 18. Dude, I had no business being out on my own whatsoever. Like,
Right.
and for me to be, so I was in Georgia at Fort Benning, and to be 18 and be out on my own, like wandering around the installation, wandering around like downtown Columbus, Georgia, like it's not good. It's
Yeah.
not good, man. I'm just grateful that God brought me through all of that. And yeah, so
No, I agree. Even just like for morale, like especially some
right.
of these, even me, right? Like I joined when I was 19. So it was like the week after my 19th birthday. So I was pretty much, right when I was eligible. But some of these kids, 18, 19 years old, like it's a huge shock for them adapting to that lifestyle. And then, coupling that with not being able to see their friends or family unless they, get leave approved and the whole 9 yards. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
So even just like for that aspect, I think it could help with, a lot of people's morale and keep everyone in a little bit better headspace.
I know. Our kids, my wife was a teacher before and a librarian, and so we homeschool them. And I'm telling them like, guys, like leaving at 18 is probably the biggest mistake that you can get, or may I mean, unless you just are adamant about joining the military. I was like, stay here, like go, stay till you're 21, 22, 23. Let us help you, let us support you, let us give you a safe place to live, like let us give you,
Yeah.
a safe car to drive. That way you can position yourself to, you know, be debt free and focus on your college degree, and if that's what they want to do. Like, I'm
Absolutely.
not pushing them one way or the other. There's some career fields that you have to have a degree in. But
Yeah.
I'm also, I'm an entrepreneur myself, and so, like, you can start off with a lawnmower and a weed eater and have a multi-million-dollar business in 5 or 6 years if you, put in the work and scale and market and all that. And so it's yeah, I mean, it's just interesting with kids, and I feel like in society, especially here in America, we push our kids out way too young. Parents are already disconnected from their kids, right? Moms and dads are both working professionally,
Hmm.
and our children are being influenced by people who don't really have their best interests in mind. Like, your
Yeah.
what your kids really need is a strong bond and connection with you. Like, that's it.
Right.
And I mean, yeah. So
No, we're trying to have kids this year, or I guess technically next year.
yeah,
We're almost into the year, but in any way, my wife's all aboard the homeschool train. So
that's cool, man.
yeah,
It's great. And the thing is, again, I don't know where your faith is. I am a Christian. I wasn't
I'm
always.
Christian. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great, man. And so for us, like, it's just been nice because we're closer to our friends who are believers than we are anybody else, even like our own parents and our in-laws. Like, we're closer to these people because they're there for us. Like, they just show up, and the thing is too is that I find that when I'm around other Christians, we always start talking about Christ and what he's done for us and the changes that he's made. And it's just amazing. And so, like, you don't get any of that in public school. And
Hmm.
when we decided to have children, we wanted our kids to know God, know where to look, in the Word when they're struggling with things in life.
Hmm.
And the Bible is like trading. It's well, I mean, it's infinitely deeper, I think, than trading is, but they're similar in the sense that, like, the more you watch the charts, the more you realize you don't know, and then the more you watch the charts, the more you learn. Like, it's the same kind of thing. Like, God reveals more and more of himself every day to me as I read, and we want our kids to understand that and enjoy that process of growth and sanctification. And then they just, they don't teach them anything about true financial literacy and how to
Right.
be good stewards of the resources that God gives us, and how to grow wealth and all of that. So for us, it was like we've always homeschooled. My oldest daughter is about to turn 15, and we've always homeschooled her. And you know, COVID for us was really just kind of a nice break. We were already
Hmm.
homeschooling at the time, and so I think that's great, man. I mean, it has its
That's awesome.
challenges, but there's lots of
Yeah.
good groups and stuff, and you know, so
hmm
it's
Yeah.
cool.
No, that's great to hear.
I hear a lot of people say things like, we can't afford to homeschool. And it's like, okay, well, that tells me that you're probably got too much revolving debt, right?
Yeah.
Or they'll say, well, I can't, I don't have the time, or I can't imagine, having to deal with my kids all the time. Well, when I hear parents say that, it tells me that they maybe don't have a strong connection with their kids. Like, because, or maybe they have a strong connection, but maybe they're not 100%. um there's some engagement, or that's missing there. I feel like, because I could spend all day with my kids, like
Mhm.
like we would
Yeah.
just have a ball together. And so it's always interesting. And but for us, we just, it's worth the sacrifice, I guess. Of that, the only real
Mhm.
sacrifice is you just don't have a second income. Like, that's it.
Right. Right. But even then, I mean, you're not paying for other things too. So I guess
For
it's
sure.
a little bit of a trade-off.
Right. For sure. There was a point in time when my wife worked. I was out at Joint Base Lewis McChord, which is in Tacoma, Washington. That was my last duty station as I was retiring. And she, you know, we were like, hey, let's. The kids were doing like preschool on base, and it was like, hey, can we get some extra money if you work at the preschool? And so she went and worked at the preschool for like 2 or 3 weeks, and then she got her first paycheck, and we did the math on it. It was like she was only she was only making like $60 or so in profit, because we were
Hmm
paying for the childcare. And that's when we were like, you know what, maybe this isn't worth it. So she said, I want to stay home, and I was like, all right, let's make that happen. So we did.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And
That's
of
awesome.
and of course you'll have a bunch of people too that tell you that you can't do it, it's not right, your kids are gonna be social retards, and that's just not true, man. Like,
Mm,
it's
yeah.
funny it's funny because my girls last night, we took them to youth group, and they had like a little Christmas party and stuff. And on the way home, my oldest daughter was telling me, she's like, the teenage boys that I'm around, she's like, they're all nice, She's like, she's like, I don't get it, like, people, when I see public school kids, and again, I went to public school, so, but she was like, when I meet public school kids or run into public school boys, they're always just, you know, they're 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 goofing off, right, in ways that are completely inappropriate. And
hmm
she's like, but the kids from youth group, like, they're all nice. Like, they still have fun, but they're basically gentlemen to her. And I'm like, well, like, you're seeing kind of the fruits of our faith, right? Like, your mom and I have been very intentional about the people that we let have access to you and are close to you, because we want you to be around good, safe, fun, kind people, right? And
Right.
I think in public school, man, like, those kids are just, not all of them, but a lot of them are just really hurting because they want to be close to their parents, but for whatever reason, they just they're stuck, right? So it
Yeah.
can be tough, but
Yeah. For sure. All right, Carol, I'm about to hop off here and go get a quick workout in
yeah,
before
man.
the afternoon session, but I appreciate everything, man. This was super, super helpful.
Yeah, of course. And I'll probably stream tomorrow. I'm gonna give it, like I said, a day or two
hmm
before, like, I may just kind of pull the plug on the whole thing, because it's like you said at the very beginning, right? Is the juice worth the squeeze? And I'm like, maybe I'll just focus on my trading, building my accounts, and then maybe putting together like some YouTube videos, and then putting together a course. Because
hmm
what I'm running into right now is a bunch of people that, like, you know, want to kick the tires, so to speak. perfectly
Yeah,
perfectly happy to help someone like you. I'm not even know that I'm helping you, but like you're a vet, man. Like I've always got your back, right? Like I
I
would never
appreciate that, man.
never charge you for a course or anything like that. But as far as everybody else, yeah, I mean everybody from like just the worst of the worst on X, I feel like. So
Yeah,
uh
100%. Yeah,
so
yeah.
but
But
all
yeah,
right, man.
I'll definitely hop on tomorrow
Yeah,
if you're doing it, or whenever you
awesome.
run another one for sure.
Yeah, man. Sounds good. All right, brother. Have a good workout. I'll see you
All right,
later.
man. Yeah, thanks. Yep, thanks, man. Appreciate
Yeah.
everything.
Bye-bye.
Bye.